79% of smartphone owners check their device within 15 minutes of waking up every morning. A 2011 university study suggested people check their phones 34 times per day. However, industry insiders believe that number is close to an astounding 150 daily sessions. Face it, we are hooked. It's the pull to visit YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter for just a few minutes, only to find yourself tapping and scrolling an hour later. It's the urge you likely feel throughout your day but hardly notice. Cognitive psychologists define habits as automatic behaviors triggered by situational cues. Things we do with little or no conscious thought. The products and services we habitually use alter our everyday behavior, just as their designers intended. Our actions have been engineered.
Cruel social media remarks. Facebook comments have been pouring in after 4 people died while hiking.
You're dealing with an addicted generation.
This is a big time bomb ticking.
These kids who commit suicide, you go look at their Instagrams, you would have no clue.
Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
People who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook. It'll destroy relationships, it'll cost time, and it'll cost money, and it'll make your life worse.
To be human means that you are persuadable in every single moment. It doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It's not about what someone knows, it's about how your mind actually works.
We now know that many of the major social media companies hire individuals called attention engineers who borrow principles from Las Vegas casino gambling, among other places, to try to make these products as addictive as possible.
We are all vulnerable to social approval. We really care what other people think of us. When you upload a new photo of yourself on Facebook, that's a moment where our mind is very vulnerable to knowing what other people think of my new profile photo. And so when we get new likes on our profile photo, Facebook, knowing this, could actually message me and say, oh, you have new likes on your profile photo. It knows that we'll be vulnerable to that moment because we all really care about when we're tagged in a photo or when we have a new profile photo. I mean, I think we can all feel it. And it's as if we've been infected. It's if they've drilled a hole in the back of our head and now they've injected the virus and now we walk around searching for feedback using social media.
We know that engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive. You have an entire generation that has access to an addictive, numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they're going through the high stress. They don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to social media. They're turning to these things which offer temporary relief. We know, the science is clear, we know that people who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook. That's a problem. That's an addiction. If you're sitting in a meeting with people you're supposed to be listening to and speaking, and you put your phone on the table, you're just not that important to me, right? So you have an addicted generation that doesn't have the skill set to ask for help. Combined with the fact that they're so good at Facebook and Instagram, they're good at putting filters on everything. So they're good at showing you how smart and strong they are. These kids who commit suicide, you go look at their Instagrams, you would have no clue that they were depressed.
People look like they have a much better life than they really do. People are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. People basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are, and they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think they're all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking and I'm not happy, so I must suck. Some of the happiest seeming people, actually some of the saddest people in reality.
Social media isn't real, but you don't ever see real life, the 99% of our lives, the behind the scenes, the unglamorous, unfiltered, day-to-day, bland normality. And you end up comparing your behind the scenes to other people's fake highlight reel and using others as a mirror or benchmark for how you should look, how successful you should be, or how you should live. You'll become your happier self when you stop putting pressure on yourself to be more like someone else.
And they know
that this causes depression. They're injecting things into your head that you didn't ask for. Our lives are becoming more transparent, just inevitably. It's just pulling us.
It'll destroy relationships, it'll cost time, and it'll cost money, and it'll make your life worse.
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
No.
So what do you feel about this video? Did you feel the same way about social media before you came across the session? Notice how media such as this could change your mindset. I'm just trying over the course of 15 minutes. Imagine when you are exposed to such media over minutes, hours, months, and even years. Which is why it is extremely important that you develop wisdom. And that can be done by thinking, spending time with yourself, reading, and experimenting with life. Without further ado, let's check out the next video.
I have pulled back from Twitter almost entirely in the last 4 months. We really have no idea what they're doing to us. You know, you ain't seen nothing yet. The people in Silicon Valley have plans that... The comments on Twitter are really kind of, they're such an odd way of communicating, because who comments? It's not like it's a random sample. You know, like if I just pointed to 50 people in the audience randomly and asked for an opinion about something, I'd kind of get a good sample of what the audience thought. But if I said, okay, who had an absolutely dreadful morning and is just as bitchy as can possibly be imagined? Okay, so why don't all you people stand up, okay? And then I'll ask the most miserable of you for your opinion. That's kind of what Twitter's like. You don't know what the hell's going on with the person who's commenting. You don't know if they are even real, if they're hiding behind some false pseudonym, or if they're trolling, or like I said, if they just had an absolutely miserable day and need to, you know, throw a dart at someone to alleviate some of their stress. So, and that's a problem with social media in general, all these new communication technologies that we've evolved. We really have no idea what they're doing to us. I mean, they're really, really hard on young women in particular. Young people now, they're just followed by paparazzi, essentially, constantly. And I've watched that with the young teenage daughters of many of my friends. God, it's miserable. We know that there is some relationship between the amount of time people use Facebook, for example, and their mental health, which means the more they use Facebook, the more depressed they are. And it might be that the depression is driving the Facebook use, but the causal pathway seems to be the other way around, which is, you know, it's just playing that unbelievably exposed social game. That's hard on people. And these aren't trivial technologies, you know. I mean, they're transforming the way we communicate with one another, and they're completely uncontrolled experiments. We have no idea what the medium or long-term consequences are going to be, and we'll never find out either, because of course the communication landscape changes so quickly that by the time you get adapted to one communication technology, another one has come along that's even more confusing that you now have to master. And so, well, that's why it's necessary for everyone to develop their own modicum of wisdom, I believe, because I don't know how else we're going to be able to deal with this technological transformation that's going to come is already coming across us like a tidal wave. And you know, you ain't seen nothing yet. The people in Silicon Valley have plans that, well, that make you think that the whole place should probably be bombed just for the safety of the rest of us. You know, because there's tremendous danger in that rapid acceleration of machine intelligence, and we have absolutely no idea where that's headed. Possible it'll be great, but power cuts both ways. So hopefully we can control it with our wisdom, and that's pretty much up to each of you to put your lives together so you can make good decisions.
What I have done so far is that I have anchored all the negativity of social media, thus making you think, damn, social media is bad. But the question remains, is it? Social media is a tool. Consider it to be just like a knife. A knife can be used to cook food, design plates, sculpt ornaments, to create art, or can be used to harm yourself and the others. Social media is what you make of it. We have all used social media to follow celebrities, check out our crush's profile, create content with the hope of being popular, post moments just for fun, and a lot more. But from my personal experience, over time I found that restricting myself to use these applications to a certain time did me well. Here is a screenshot of my Instagram profile highlighting how I have tweaked my feed in order to learn consciously every day. I go into my Explore page. I did this initially by clicking on content that randomly appeared on my feed and informing the application that I am not interested in such content. I personally love social media, primarily because I have been able to leverage my talents with a click of a button as well as learn simultaneously. Now that you are conscious about the functioning of social media, I want you to change yourself first. Because if you first can change yourself, then I am confident you can change the world.